Hello, this is Neil from mypaintgirls.com, and I'm going to speed up this one because I already did the main sketch of the dragon. And so now I'm just speeding up the process and having commentary to show, how I finish the product. Product. This isn't a product, this is a personal thing. Just a personal quick painting. And I actually ended up finishing this, I think it was in a total of like an hour or something like that. I'm not sure anyway. I sped it up. I sped it up by double 3 times. So yeah, usually 50 minutes condenses to about 5 minutes. So I think I spent an hour and 20 or 30 minutes on this one actually in total, which isn't bad at all actually. It's pretty quick to do any sort of painting. This ends up being a full painting with 2 characters in it, and this is the other character I decided to add. It's like this kind of bird man, and I'm thinking that I want the painting to actually tell a story. I haven't been doing enough paintings where it tells a story. I just been doing a lot of pinup type stuff. So I thought, I'm going to do something that actually tells a little bit of a story. And so one thing to keep in mind is when you're painting is how you set up the painting. Imagine there's a plus sign directly in the center of your painting, like a crosshair, and that divides it into 4 rectangles. You want the subject matter, the main focus of the painting, the place where the people are going to be looking to be in one of those 4, one or more. Mainly the main focus is in one of those rectangles, almost in the center of the rectangle itself, like in those 4 rectangles. So in this case, that's like the head of the dragon. And the other rectangle, actually, interesting enough, is that Birdman. And so there's like 2 focal points. Mainly it's the dragon, though. That's why he's in the front. He gets most of the detail. Also, is another thing that I pay attention to. And that way, the dragon is getting most of the focus of the painting. And also, I kind of want it to look like the dragon's just kind of mellow and cool, even though there's dudes coming to attack him. The dragon's like, he's nothing. Originally, I had an idea of a whole flock of them coming at him, but a little bit further away, and he's just nonchalantly glancing out. Now, if you're wondering how I'm doing the coloring, it's really the same way I do black and white, but sometimes starting out with color gives you really interesting results. So I start with this kind of monochromatic theme a monochromatic color frame where it's just like a blue color, right? And then I'm going in and erasing on that layer. I colored on a separate layer. Anyway, so I add this monochromatic type blue-green look to him, and then after that, then I use different types of brushes, mainly soft light brush. That's like my workhorse brush for adding color to anything. And on top of that monochromatic theme, that blue theme, I start adding with the soft brush different colors. And I'll do a mixture of dark and light colors. So I'll do some yellow, and then I'll do some dark like purples in the shadows, and a little bit of reds, but mostly it's like purples and blues in the shadows because you want your shadows to be cool if the light is warm. And then a lot of yellows in the lighter area of him to make the green part kind of more of a yellowish, or make the bluish part more of like a yellowish and green where the light's hitting. And so that's how I do the color thing, and it adds a lot of variety, a color variety within the image really quickly. And then I go in with a normal brush and I start picking up those colors with the color picker by just holding down the control key on my keyboard, and that allows me to do a quick color pick, and I just pick colors as I'm painting. I actually decided to do a little different technique with this one. Rather than starting out with like big brushes, I originally started with big brushes, but then I go in right away to start adding details with a small 5 brush. So I have my size 5 brush set to both pen pressure and opacity, which means it's kind of working like a pencil, but I'm adding color. So it's actually the same brush I use often for pencil work, larger pencil work. And it's working quite well actually. Just adding all that detail and stuff right away is a little different kind of. I really don't recommend painting that way unless you've got the foundations down first. And notice I'm only adding the details doing this. I added all the big framework with a larger brush, and that's your workhorse brush, your paintbrush. And the paintbrush is only set to opacity for pen pressure. Size is not set at all. And so no matter how hard or light you hit, it's always the same size brush. And so you just change the size of the brush, start really big, and then you get smaller and smaller and smaller with that brush, and then you finally go in with like the pencil type brush and add in final details. So notice I wasn't totally, that foundation color is a good starting point using that soft light brush. But there's a lot of colors that just weren't quite right, and so then I go in with normal brushes. That is set, brush is set to normal mode, and add in the light. Now to make it look like the light is coming through the wings, I use a color dodge brush, and just paint on like the actual color of the wing itself. So I color sample where I want to lighten it, and then I use the color dodge. And you got to just hit it very, very lightly. I have the color dodge brush set to 21%. Also, my soft light brush is set to 21% opacity. I think that's important to point out because you don't want to overdo those brushes. It's really light touches. And now I'm just going in adding some more detail to the rock, since that's also in the foreground. I want the detail to show up in that piece. And notice I added the darkest darks into the dragon, and only in a few parts. Those are the focal points. I want the eye to bounce between those points. Right now it's between his feet and his chest. And so you kind of bounce back and forth, but then with this third character, and you see where the dragon's looking, your eye will go to that character, but then notice his shape, his arm, his left arm to our right. His left arm and his wing is curving back around, pointing back to the dragon. And so this is what you want to do. You want to lead the characters. You want to lead the person that's viewing your piece around the painting. And so I do that first by getting their attention at a focal point. And the focal point here is the dragon's face and feet. So immediately the dragon has more contrast, eyes drawn to the dragon. Then the dragon itself leads you with the two focal points of the dragon to go up and down the dragon. And then eventually your eyes will lean, it'll follow the direction the dragon's pointing with its face. So typically eyes, you'll follow someone's eyes, so they'll follow the way the dragon's facing or the way he's looking. And he's looking at this like Birdman, this kind of angelic Birdman. And so when the eyes get to him, he doesn't have much interest as far as detail and stuff. So naturally, I need him to point right back to the dragon, so they just keep looking at the painting, but they don't consciously know why they keep looking at the painting. And so now his arm and his wing is pointing back to the dragon, leading their eyes back to the dragon. And so you have this kind of circle loop. Basically, you want 3 points of interest like that in the painting, and that'll keep someone's eyes on the painting longer than if there were no points of interest like that. So you got to think strategically like that when you're designing an overall work. I really cheated on the clouds. I didn't feel like painting them, so I just used a pre-made cloud brush, and then I used soft light brushes to add color into the background clouds. It was kind of a cheap trick. I do it all the time in my comic book, but it's good. When you work in the industry, you need a lot of cheap tricks because you need to work quickly. That's what you get paid for. You get paid by the hour, and you need to work quickly if you want to make money. And so you need to learn all the tricks of the trade to get your stuff done as quick as possible. And I'm just about done with this painting too. Hopefully I've talked about some different stuff I haven't really talked about in previous commentaries. I don't think I really talked much about that, how to design your overall piece. And also it's telling a story, and that's important too. That keeps people looking at it a little bit longer too. Alright, there's my signature, and thank you for watching. And